Yo, what is going on YouTube? I am Germ here. Today we are talking about just some kind of sad news coming out of the LCS today that there is some kind of widespread illness going on. Obviously, I mean, this should not be anything surprising, coronavirus, COVID-19, pandemic, quarantines, all this stuff that we know has been going on. But especially in Los Angeles, there's been a lot of spiking numbers, spiking cases, all that stuff going on recently, and people have had to be really, really careful. Obviously, this stuff is very, very contagious. People are getting sick, and the LCS is not immune to these things. They have been able to kind of largely avoid a lot of these troubles since obviously just playing video games, being online, there's kind of minimal contact with teams and players and stuff. There's not a lot of interaction has to go on, especially while the LCS has been online, especially last season. The LCS was really thankful to avoid a lot of issues, but again, now that teams are kind of moving into training facilities, moving back into team houses and stuff, rather than playing in like their apartment stuff they did last year, we are definitely just kind of exposed to the coronavirus once again. Also, people coming back from like vacations, holidays, really from all over the world, is just kind of this, cockpit of just a lot of bad things going on. Here is a story from Invin Global where they tweeted out that breaking news: the LCS CLG has multiple members catch COVID and are also expecting visa slowdowns. Here's a roster update for the LCS lock-in tournament starting this Friday. We also have updates from Travis Gafford where he says, in addition to CLG, reportedly shortly ago by Invin Global, sources have told me that multiple members of Dignitas have tested positive for COVID-19. So this is not good. One, this is just very, very scary. Hopefully all the players, hopefully all their families, everyone they've came in contact with, coaching staff, everything. Hopefully everyone is okay, first and foremost. Obviously this can be a scary thing. You hope with some of these young people, I want to say people that are in good shape and are healthy, but obviously not all LCS players, not all gamers are even healthy. So there's definitely some people who could potentially be at risk, but hopefully they are all good. Hopefully they are all okay. Then the next thing being that this could continue to affect the lock-in tournament. This is a big thing. Obviously, we've already seen a lot of visa issues, which are really putting kind of a hampering on the whole event. People are really excited about this. People love to hear that the LCS was getting a preseason tournament. People have been asking for it for a while, and this is one of the most hyped up off seasons ever, with a ton of big name players, big free agents, big moves, teams getting real upgrades, and people being very, very excited. Team Liquid, C9, TSM had some huge changes, 100 Thieves, all the way down. Pretty much every team has something to look forward to headed into this new season, and that is awesome. But so that means people are going to have high expectations for this lock-in tournament. They were going to want to see their favorite players, their favorite teams, their new rosters, all that stuff, all the shiny new toys that their team signed this offseason. But unfortunately, it seems like a lot of people are going to have to be waiting because tons of teams are having visa issues. We've even heard about Team Liquid now, CLG, all these different rosters. But now, obviously, COVID is going around a little bit as well. Now, if you are not having symptoms, obviously you could just hopefully be able to play from your apartments once again. You should even be able to play through COVID, honestly, depending on how bad it is or whatever. But obviously, if you're having symptoms or whatever, it could make people have to be out. And depending on how bad this spread around, depending on how many people are affected by this, teams might have to have significant portions of their roster, if not their entire rosters, unavailable to play, which could mean more academy players, could mean more backups, more random substitutes, or just more academy lineups in general, which would just kind of suck. It'd be bad for the viewership, it'd be bad for the fans, it'd be bad for the teams, it'd be bad for people practicing, because some of the teams are going to be at full strength. Some teams are going to be ready to go and want to use this as a time to start kind of ramping up, getting ready for the season, practicing and stuff, because they're taking valuable time out of their training schedules and stuff to actually play this tournament. They want it to be worth their time. And again, this is the first time we're ever doing this tournament in North America. I'm sure Riot wants the viewership to be good. I'm sure they want people to be excited about it. I'm sure they want people to be hyped up about it. And this tournament has a $150,000 prize pool. That is not nothing. So again, the teams are kind of playing for something, especially in a league with right now esports and the LCS, where a lot of the teams don't even make a profit. $150,000, it's not gonna save the day or anything, but it's not nothing. And then there's $50,000 to go to charity as well, and you could really help out an awesome charity that you feel great about. So there is a lot there, and it just seems like, again, I know I said this in another video, but it seems like every couple hours we're just getting another negative story about something that's going to be affecting the lock-in tournament. And it's not the end of the world. Lock-in tournament is just a preseason tournament. It doesn't affect the regular season standings at all. And in the end, it's really not going to matter. By the time we get to MSI or Worlds or whatever, the lock-in tournament, what happens there is going to be largely forgotten. So it doesn't really even matter. But The season I believe starts like 2 weeks after the locking tournament starts. So it's just a short time away from each other. So if things are affecting the locking tournament, we're starting to get legitimate questions and concerns about whether these things, whether it be visas, whether it be travel restrictions, whether it be sicknesses, are going to be affecting the start of the LCS season. And this is probably the worst time ever for something like this to be happening, because this is really the first year in quite some time, if not ever, that the spring split actually matters. Obviously, the LCS shifted over to this full season approach of having your spring split and your summer split records coming together. So what happens in the spring split is actually going to affect your summer split or your overall season standings. It's actually going to affect who does make it to Worlds and stuff like that. So if you do have players out with sickness, if you do have players who are having visa issues, who have travel restriction issues from their home countries or whatever, it really ends up being more of a big deal than it maybe would have been in years past when spring split didn't matter as much, or maybe even didn't matter at all. We also do have some other tweets from Travis where he talks about with cases being what they are in LA and CLG having multiple players catching COVID, I don't think teams should have players practicing or playing out of their training facilities. Personally, I think Riot should make everyone's job easy by restricting players from participating out of offices, facilities, until cases go below a certain threshold in LA County. I realize there are already teams in houses, C9, etc., but that can't really be helped. So I think this would be, obviously, I get what he's saying here. A lot of the teams, again, are opening up big facilities. You know, Team Liquid has, like, the big Alienware facility. TSM just has their, like, super, super expensive brand new facility. And teams are excited to get, using these things and trying these out. But, again, going back to facilities does mean more face-to-face contact, does mean more exposure. And with how bad things are right now in Los Angeles, in the United States, and in the world, this can be a little risky. But then you do kind of get into competitive discrepancies where being able to meet in person is probably a little bit of an advantage over, having to play from your own apartments. We saw people have connection issues last year. I know, like, Wild Turtle, his internet went out or his power went out his apartment or whatever. Things can be weird, connection issues, and it just hurts the broadcast, but it probably also hurts just how well your team can even play together. So I don't know how teams would feel about some teams having to play from apartments, some teams getting to play from, like, their house if C9 does just live in a house, some teams maybe getting to play in facilities, but it is weird, and Riot does kind of need to act fast, because again, the locking tournament is 3 days away. The start of the spring split is just a couple weeks after, so there's so much going on. I want to say that I'm sure they have protocols and rules and stuff in place, because not some of this probably wasn't very unexpected. Something like this was going to happen at some point. I think the LCS and League of Legends in general got pretty lucky last year to not have very many instances of people getting sick or people missing time or people missing games or whatever. But obviously we've gotten to this point where something is happening now. There is this going around, and yes, I'm sure different players and different teams are interacting, so maybe the Dignitas and the CLG cases aren't completely separate, but even if they are, again, obviously we're coming off the winter break, we're coming off holidays and everything like that, and these players just have lives in general too, where I'm sure they socialize somewhat. You hope everyone's being safe and smart about everything, but there's just so many people in play here. We're talking about players, academy rosters, coaching staffs, everyone that they're interacting with, and everyone that they could have possibly interacted with over the holidays as well. And it's just a big mix that is going to probably lead to problems. So, again, I hope that Riot does have things in place. I hope they do have solutions. I totally get what Travis is saying, but I don't know if it's the best solution. I don't know if it's a perfect solution. It's probably the most, socially responsible one, but I don't know if it's the best one in terms of competitive integrity, but obviously a decision needs to be made what is most important there, and what even the other options are. Again, I don't know exactly what the situations are for every single different team. I don't live in Los Angeles, so I don't know exactly how bad things are over there, or what the different options are, how the internet is at apartments versus facilities and all that stuff, how many players are even affected by this, or where they're at. Also, are these players symptomatic? Are people getting really, really sick, or are they just testing positive? Because those are two different things as well, obviously, in terms of if these players are even going to be able to play, or if they're going to have to be subbed out or whatever. So again, it does suck that we are hearing more and more bad news about the lock-in tournament, because I was personally very, very hyped up for this. I know a lot of the fans were as well. I'm sure the players and teams were too, so it's got to be very disappointing for them, but I hope all the players who have gotten sick or whatever's going on, I hope everyone is safe, happy, healthy, and all that stuff first and foremost. But after that, I hope we can actually find and field pretty, competent and talented rosters for the lock-in tournament, because I want every team to have a good showing, but I also want every team to have good competition to play against, so we can use this as a good practice and a good ramp up to get us running into the season. But I also hope that all this stuff can get sorted out and figured out, whether it be sicknesses, getting everything under control, visas, travel restrictions, whatever, so we can actually have a good start to the LCS season, because this is a big year for the LCS. Again, we spent a ton of money on a ton of free agents. We have a ton of shiny new rosters, shiny new pieces, shiny new toys, and the LCS needs to have a good year this year. We need to perform well at MSI, perform well at Worlds, hopefully make it out of groups, hopefully have a team make a run, but again, the league is gonna be dependent on each other. If all the teams are good, the league will rise together. If some of the teams start to not be able to carry their weight, or we have a bunch of issues or whatever, then it'll be tough for even the top teams to kind of develop as the course of the year goes on. But yeah, I know Travis has had a ton of opinions on this. I know he made a video about it as well. I've not actually watched his video yet, so I'm not sure exactly what he says, but I'm sure it's along the lines of his tweets and stuff, just kind of summarizing that stuff. But I did want to get this video out to you guys that I've been making a bunch of videos about all the visa issues. There is a lot of issues going on. There's a lot of roster replacements. It's kind of hard to keep up with, honestly, because there's so much stuff happening. But now you throw sickness into the issues as well. So there's just more and more stuff going on. To make sure you guys are staying up to date on all the latest information, I'll do my best to keep you guys updated, but there's only so much I can do. That is pretty much it for this video today, guys. Definitely drop a like if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below. What do you think about all these issues going on? What do you think Riot should do? What do you think the best solution is? I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions. Subscribe, stay updated on my latest content. Hopefully catch you guys in the next one. But until then, peace.